Hey, this is Cami Knight, founder of A Higher Love. I'm a healing coach who helps men and women heal from their past experiences and belief patterns through my online group coaching and also one-on-one coaching. Log on to my website to learn more. You can also follow me on all of my social media handles, which is titled Cami Loves. Now let's dive in. Hi, and welcome back to another episode on the same series where I'm talking about my relationship with food, healing my relationship with food as it relates to the relationship I have with myself. And more in particular, it says healing your relationship with food is really the reflection that you have or that I had with myself. And that is all connected. So if you didn't watch the first episode, I recommend you start there because I talk about the foundation of my relationship with food, which was in my childhood and how it segued into my young adult years and how it had affected me. Now, top of the story is I had heart surgery. I know, you're like, what? I had heart surgery at 21. Man, okay, so that was, it happened so fast, and I was so traumatized at that time and filled with focusing on school, and my headspace was in another space, yet and still the surgery happened overnight and so quickly that I really didn't have time to really process what was happening. That's how focused I was in making it. That's how focused I was in just where really my head was buried in. So when my body was breaking down on me, because you might say, well, what caused the heart surgery? What caused you to get heart surgery? My arteries were clogged because I was eating for 3 years straight in college. Most people can break this junk down, the stuff that they're eating. Some people, and I'll take that back, that's why there's so many documentaries about people's their health failing them because of the American diet. But I didn't know at the time that I was eating fast food and fried foods and just unhealthy food for 3 years straight when I was in school. That's all I did. I worked full time. I did everything on the go. And so fast food was my friend. Now, the next part I want to talk about is what led up to that point. Looking back, I realized that school for me was my outlet. It was what I thought my way to freedom. It was my way of independence. I thought I was my focus was to make this money. My focus was to never go back and never ask anybody for money. My focus was getting out, and so I could become independent, so I don't have to ask anybody for any money, so that I could, make this money and, help people and just, do my own thing. And so that was just really, really, really my focus. I really wanted to get out of the house, out of my parents' house. And that was really my main focus. And looking back, it was really stemmed from trauma and fear and feeling trapped in my body, which I'm going to talk about in a minute. So the next part of my bullet point, I said, how did eating fast foods was a sign or a sense of freedom I finally felt. So yes, eating fast food was a sign of, looking back, and remember, wasn't aware of this. But now looking back that I've healed, I recognize that fast food for me and going out to eat with friends and ordering whatever I want and paying with my own money. And it was a sense of, for me, as I was doing this, looking back, it was a sense of freedom. It was a sense of me running and me saving myself and not feeling trapped in fear and in trauma, and ordering whatever I wanted. Felt like no one could control me, that I was ordering this and it was on my tab and it was my money that I was doing it with. And I felt there was a short part of me that lived like that short-term feeling. I was feeling gratified, but at looking back, I recognized that underneath there was this residue, that there was this not residue, because residue is when you heal and there's remnants of it. No, there was still something festering underneath what was happening on the inside of my body. And I call it now, it was the trauma that was still, that needed to be dealt with and healed. But I wasn't aware at the time. And I really do believe that I had to continue to experience certain things to awaken to the truth and really to have a story. I believe you can't really, God doesn't, it's, in my opinion, it's hard for God to use you if you don't have a story. Because how can you relate to people and help others if you haven't gone through anything? And so I believe that at the time, I just wasn't aware. My mindset was just in a different mindset. And so fast food was a sign of, like I said, of freedom, of not feeling in control anymore. I could order whatever I want with my money. And so there was a sense of, I was running from the trauma. I was running from the fear. I was running from the feeling that I had as a child, and having my own job and, going to school was that outlet for me. And so the next part I want to talk about, it says on my notes, it says, because looking back as a child, I felt like I was in prison within me. And that's true. I mentioned that, just a few seconds ago. Looking back, as a child, I felt like I was in prison. I felt that as though I had to live up to the expectation of other people that I mentioned on the previous podcast. And I felt that in my body, I felt trapped. I felt trapped to develop sexually. I felt trapped to develop into being attractive. I felt trapped in being who I was. I felt trapped hearing all of these different voices that were going on in my head unconsciously. I found myself in this survival mode, trying to prove what was speaking back to me. I was trying to fight and run from that. I was trying to fight and run from that, and I didn't know it at the time. And so moving on to the next part, I said I had a sense of independence as an adult. In a sense, it was a nice Band-Aid. Oh, and I didn't even know it. So it was, in essence, what I found myself doing physically to change things, and yet and still looking back, now that I'm very aware and in tune to my body, looking back, I can remember the feeling that I had back then. What was that thing that was like the hurricane that was happening, or the tornado that was really building? It really was more like a tornado. I was feeling it. But as I said before, I felt like a prisoner in my own body, in my own self. And I felt powerless, and I felt that I couldn't escape. I felt that I could not escape. So the food was a way of me feeling that I had a sense of freedom. It was a short-term scarcity mentality that I had of the food that I was eating. It was a short-term gratification. I'm gonna say that again. For many times, even when I look at different shows where people have addiction to food, it's a short term. If you hear them, what they say, oftentimes it's a short term gratification, and then later on they're depressed again, and then they go back to eating, and then they're depressed again. So it's like a cycle. Well, for me, I went to the food to numb myself or to feel better. But that thing stayed. It's like constantly stayed, and I didn't know what it was. I thought it was normal. I knew something wasn't right, but I thought the answer to that wasn't going to school. I thought the answer to that was being independent, so I didn't have to ask anybody for any money. I thought the answer to that was running from some of the people in my family. I thought that was the answer. And so, in essence, the actions that I was taking physically was harming my body. It was harming me. I was trying to fight. Okay, So the next part, the next bullet point that I have, so in essence, I was once again running because I was afraid and resorted to food to coddle me. That really was that. I resorted to food to coddle me. Looking back, my next and very last point that I wanted to make was, as I end the video, all of that ended when God saved me from myself. When God saved me from myself. And you might say, well, how did that happen? Well, I cried out to God, and God saved me from myself. Remember when I talked about the tornado? When you always feel this happening and you feel something's not right? Can you relate? Where you always have something in you, or maybe you were dysfunctionally functioning for so long, or you might have had like in essence a sense of like a weight following you. It's like a weight, a sense of weight always with you and always following you, and you're trying to escape from it. You're trying to escape from it. You're trying to run from it. Well, this was what I had. This was what I had. And it wasn't until I stopped and actually cried out to God, and God began showing me what was in my tornado. And so that's what I'll be talking about on the next video. So in this video, hopefully you would have, hopefully you would have your own reflections and own questions that you might have within yourself that you might be asking as you're listening to me in the story. So I would recommend you, when you're done watching this video, maybe ask some questions that might resonate or might have triggered something within you to help you identify it. But that's all I have. Remember, my next video, I'm going to be talking about how God saved me from myself and some other great topics as it relates to my relationship with food and healing our relationship with food. And hopefully what I'm sharing with you, it's helping you. I believe so. So I hope that this brings you great news to know that it's a possibility to, if you feel like you were imprisoned in your body, that you can come out of it, because I did. And I know the same can happen for you. Go ahead and click like and subscribe. Share this video if you believe someone can be helped in this video. And that's all I have today, guys. Tune in next time. Bye. And I would like to help you. Click the link below to learn how you can heal.